Welcome to an episode of Chat Sports Talk. And welcome to a dive into someone else's crazy mind. This is for one of my subscribers, one of the fans, one I've interacted many times through the Twitter space, the YouTube space, going back and forth over certain topics and whatnot, especially all different aspects, especially dealing with football and college football in particular. Damascus. My last UFL, my only UFL video I produced was a possible expansion to Western cities, and he came up with a list of, I think there was like 16, as you see on the screen here. I didn't show the full list, but he broke down all the different team locations with stadium names and whatnot. And that's where I kind of mentioned, hey, you forgot about a couple of ones here, there. If you went Oakland, Chicago, which you had on there, I went back with the old USFL names, since they have, I think, tie-ins with that. But he's like, well, should definitely look into a video where he just kind of took all the semi-pro teams, spring leagues, the XFL, USFL, the Alliance, the Spring League, and just throw them into one league and kind of go from there. And then a little back and forth here and there. And I was like, okay, well, I was going to go all the way back to the World Football League back in 74, 75, where it all began, pretty much. As I said, 16 would probably be the limit. So it'll be interesting take to go about this. And he's like, well, one thing you can consider, don't try to utilize NFL names. So you try to nix the San Antonio Commanders name while forgetting the Michigan Panthers name. So I will be throwing that little tidbit out because of the Michigan Panthers. And one thing I look like all these leagues, a couple names did resurface. Stallions was one of those very important names for some reason that kept popping up, showing up in multiple leagues. Stars was another one. So then I try to limit myself. And then going on this dive, I actually ended up going back to the 1960s with the Continental Football League and the first iteration of the United Football League, which led to the Continental, and then subsequently the Trans-American Football League and Atlantic Coast. I mean, I just fell in the rabbit hole. Those leagues I kicked back out. I kind of went away from them because a lot of them dealt with really small markets, like Akron, Toledo, Wheeling, West Virginia, Charleston, West Virginia. I mean, they did come into like Chicago and San Antonio, but in the most part, I kind of stayed away from that. It was like a mirror image of the old NFL, how it was starting, going small market, and then trying to work its way out. So now when I, cut that off, so start listing all the different sites, starting from the World Football League to the current iteration, the United Football League. There are 40 locations to look at. I'm like, that's a lot. And some of these are not very viable locations because there's no stadium really available for spring football that doesn't interfere with either a baseball team or even a soccer team without having previously worked out a deal with that. Soccer teams, you could kind of go along with that as long as there's some arrangement priorhand that I looked at. So then I started to try to condense it more and more down. So then I got rid of, I just said, okay, we're going to concentrate only in 21st century. So that's talking about the XFL 2001 and further. And then I kind of nixed that XFL and just worry about, okay, maybe the last under 20 years. So that goes to United Football League 2.0, even though technically that was a fall league. Doing that, I ended up coming down with 30 teams. So, okay, now we have a number where I can work with. And there's when I start dwindling down even further. I got rid of teams that did not play in their host city. This affected USFL sites. So they got rid of Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, New Orleans, and Tampa Bay. Also got rid of locations that played in baseball stadiums. So UFL, that means the California Redwoods, and Omaha were gone. They gave me a league of 24. Now, from this 24, I had to come up with team names for them. And it was really hard to kind of pinpoint a team name and logo, helmet design that I liked. So these are just images that I like, and nothing against any other variations out there or what you may like. But these are the ones I prefer a little bit more. But originally, I had a video already up and recorded, and I was about to go through the whole process. I was trying to get all the graphics, whatnot. And of course, since I'm out here in Texas, we lost the internet for a couple hours because I'm with one of those companies that lost the internet. And I realized that when I created that league, I got away from the original comments why this video is getting made. So that's the reason why it took a little bit longer, because then I went back into it. I would dive back into the aspect and then narrow it down and narrow the focus down to teams that actually made sense for the most part. And I got it down to the 20 teams. So without further ado, let's go ahead and introduce this ultimate spring football league. As I'll probably call it the APFA. I'm using the old AAF logo here to kind of represent that. And first one on the docket, the Harford Colonials. They only lasted 1 year in the United Football League, but they play out there in the Brent, a good-sized stadium built for UConn, which originally I think it was kind of purpose to try to bring the Patriots into town. That fell through. UConn took it over. Haven't really lived up to the hype too much. They've had one BCS bowl. Yes, way back then when they were still part of the Big East football. Yeah, when that was still around. And I think Hartford gives you a nice location. It gives you in New England and then a little bit of New York market. Not really, because it's right there in between Boston and New York. So it can kind of tap both fan bases and kind of go from there. The Virginia Destroyers, right there in the Virginia Beach Sportsplex, is the largest of the largest city in the Hampton Roads area. Norfolk is part of a more commonly known location. And that's where the Hampton Roads Rhinos, a potential NHL franchise, is trying to come out of, was that location. This is, of course, where Norfolk State, Old Dominion's located there. You get William and Mary right up the road as well. So there's definitely a few locations to go at this. This will have one of the smaller stadiums, but something I think that can actually work with this particular and gives you that mid-Atlantic region where you can tap a little bit of North Carolina, rest of Virginia, maybe get that the BWD area, BMD area, depending on how you want to label it. The Baltimore, D.C., Northern Virginia, Maryland locations. Next up, I'm going with the Florida Tuskers. I like this one out of the potential Orlando names, because you had the Guardians with that unique shade green helmet. The Apollos, which definitely was a gimmicky kind of helmet. But the Tuskers is never a gimmicky one because they had the snout right there in the middle that turned into a stripe. But I like the color scheme and whatnot, and since this is going to be the only team in Florida, spoilers, they can take the Florida moniker, run with it, and they have a couple locations right there, Camping World, as well as UCF Stadium, they can utilize as a home base to play the game, because both have been used in multiple teams throughout a couple of leagues. And the last of the old United Football League, or 2.0, Sacramento Mountain Lions. This is definitely a team that I like the gimmicky look as well, because it had the paw down the middle of the stripe. There's also another one that had the two-sided helmet, but unfortunately I can't seem to find a good photo of the other side where it had the S with the mountain lion on top of the S. You see that in the logo, but on the other side was a number. And that ran with a couple teams on here. But it's definitely one of these designs I kind of liked. So now we go to the Alliance, and we'll start out west. St. Eagle Fleet out there, Snapdragon. I think this is one of the teams that I definitely said should be in the UFL. This is where the breaker should actually land. But I went with the Fleet because I like the helmet design. We go to Arizona. The Hot Shots. Not a name I would choose, but the color aspect gives you a different look and something you don't really see too much on helmet design, especially at the pro level. And kind of pay homage to first responders and firefighters. So this is the reason why I went with this one, because Hot Shots kind of deal a little bit with wildfires. So homage to them, and those guys put their lives on the line. We went out to Salt Lake City with the Salt Lake Stallions. Yeah, that's right. Birmingham doesn't retain their 3-time champion name, because Salt Lake City only had one team, and that was the Stallions, playing out at Rice Eccles. For the most part, they're one of the most least attended teams of the AAF. I mean, they still had 9,000. They averaged 9,000 fans, which is still a decent number. But I think it and the helmet design definitely has some issues I don't really particularly like, because that was the only thing up there. I toyed with the idea of pulling the Arena League name of the Utah Blaze and using their pewter helmet, because that's something different. But that wasn't one of these leagues' names, so I went away from that. Head down to San Antonio, and I went with the Commanders. This was the most popular team of the Alliance. These guys, I mean, they packed the Alamo Dome for this team. Probably a little bit better than what the Brahmas get now. Well, did get, should I say. I just like the name Commanders a little bit better. I like the helmet design, different color choices. Looking at the Brahmas, there's too much connection with The Rock, because Dwayne Johnson, when he was part of the WWE, of course, he was known as The Rock, and one of his nicknames go along with that was the Brahma Bull. And I'm not really keen on the helmet design, but I get it because the Brahmas have these huge horns that go out to the sides. So the best way to, I think, really showcase that is put the horns come out front, or come from the back and go in front, to represent the huge rack that Brahma Bull actually have. That's the reason why I went to Commanders. I kind of like the name, the color, the whole aspect of that team. Another one that was interesting was the Riders, but that brown, just no. But that's from the old World League of American Football, and I've already cut that one out. And then we went to Hotlanta with the Atlanta Legends, bringing that purple and gold, a combination you do not see, and playing there at Center Park Stadium, home to Georgia State football club or football team. So definitely an area you could definitely utilize, kind of expand upon, and just kind of go from there. Then we'll go to the XFL. We're actually going to go way back to the first iteration of XFL, and we'll go with the Birmingham Thunderbolts. This one is definitely a gimmicky name. A lot of times they shorten it just to the Bolts, which I completely understand. You know, the big B with the Thunderbolts coming out of the B, and they put it right there in the front of the helmet instead of the sides. So definitely a gimmicky helmet. I understand if the Stallions would be preferred here because, you know, a 3-time champion name. I mean, won back-to-back USFL championship and the inaugural United Football League championship. To understand the reason to keep the Stallions name in Birmingham, but since Salt Lake City only had one team, they got it first. And then looking at some of the other ones, I mean, the Iron, that just wasn't a very plausible name. The Barracudas was, but the jersey was horrendous and gimmicky because they put the logo on the bottom right when you look at the jersey coming across with kudos right there. I'm like, no, it's the helmet I like. It's the uniform that need a lot of work. But I just went with Thunderbolts here and kind of pressed on and going with more current iteration of the XFL. We did bring back the Los Angeles Wildcats. A really cheesy name. I probably would like the Express from the old USFL and use the old XFL logo and helmet design for it. Brought up the Seattle Sea Dragons. Even though I think orange really works for Pacific Northwest, I think that's more of a Miami color. But it was a very popular team up there, and for some reason just never made it. And this was the other location I thought should be added to the UFL. Brought out the Vegas Vipers, and then I would actually get them out of Cashman Field and put them in Sandboy Stadium. But I know Sandboy Stadium does seem to charge a little bit higher rent. At least it did. That's one of the reasons why the Las Vegas Posse, the CFL, failed miserably in that first year. They even tried to end the team prior to the season ending. He ended up selling it before the end of the season, and it was just a hot mess for Canadian football in Las Vegas. The Las Vegas Outlaws was another one I was looking at. The old XFL right there. Great helmet design, great color scheme. Definitely one you probably want to look at. And, but there was also the Arena League with that same name. So, a little conflict there. Don't want to, cross to me streams, should I say. Head up to Arlington with Choctaw Stadium. Renegades went back with the old Dallas Renegades helmet. I like that one better. I think that fit more with the motif. It's still that blue color. That really, very unique, almost baby blue, dark baby blue color. Like that a lot. You don't see that. Most Battlehawks, enough said with this one. This is probably one of the most popular teams of the XFL and part of even the UFL now. So definitely one you definitely need to include, especially there at the Dome in America Center. The DC Defenders playing out there in Audi Field. Very unique helmet design, especially since it's not a solid white helmet in the background. And, I mean, that's the home to Beer Snake, so you got to bring that team back in. If you ever seen that, DC fans definitely get the gimmick. They get the vibe. They get the good vibrations out there. And a bunch of drunkards because they get every single beer cup they could to create the longest beer snake they possibly could. Love it. Definitely more of that. And then the New York Guardians, because I just kind of like the aspect of it. The Guardians, especially the ones you used to see from the New York Public Library, from scenes of the original Ghostbusters and even the Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. You see that line there. That's iconic. So I get that aspect. New Jersey Generals is definitely another good choice to put here as well. But I went with New York. Still playing out there in MetLife. Can really tap into that one. And then from the USFL, brought in the Michigan Panthers, playing at Ford Field. Should be a no-brainer. Memphis Showboats, over there at Liberty. Another no-brainer. I like the new look better than the original. And then I brought in the Houston Gamblers. Now, I know the Roughnecks is the current version. I just do not like the helmet design. I get it, because it's supposed to represent the Texas flag. So I get it. I just don't like that type of 3 different color, not symmetrical helmet. That just doesn't thrive with me, and then cutting the Oral Derrick in half to please the Tennessee Titans because they were aggravated that the Roughnecks had the full Derrick, even though it was definitely different because they made the H stand out in the Derrick, put a star on top of it. It made its own identity. They got aggravated because it reminds them too much of the Houston Oilers. But there you go. Those are my 20 teams. Now, I do have 4 others on the docket. It all depends if they can get team names in our stadium deals locked in place, because one of the reasons why the Pittsburgh Maulers never got moved up, because they could never get an agreement with Acrisure Stadium. So definitely the Pittsburgh Maulers, the Philadelphia Stars, New Orleans Breakers, and the Tampa Bay Bandits. Definitely the next 4 you should consider to get to 24. Is a big enough mark. Like I said, 16 I thought would be more than enough. I actually went up to 20, trying to accommodate as many as possible within certain parameters. Only 2 names correlate with NFL teams, but their identities are so unique they could stand on their own. I think for a spring league to really thrive, it needs partnership with the NFL and probably even the Canadian Football League to get these guys actual playing time, to give them some experience, hone their skills for the next level. But, that's just my take. I want to know what you think. Now, I know, like I said, a lot of these names, are going to be not liked by everyone. I understand that. When it comes to this type of stuff, everyone has their own particular flavor, how they want that. Some people like, the purple Gatorade. Some of them don't. I mean, same thing. Some Coke, some Pepsi, some drink Dr. Pepper. It's individual taste. That's all it is. This is my individual taste for certain team names. I get the Birmingham Stallions being the top one, but then what you do with Salt Lake. So it's a little bit of give and take. You got to find the right balance, trying to find the right helmet design, not to get the same helmet over and over and over. Don't have all black helmets. I mean, it doesn't look good. Don't have all white helmets. Don't look good. But try to mix it up, throw in little different color schemes here and there to really, set it up differently. And that's what you really want. But just let me know what you think down below. Like I said, this list is just my personal list, my personal opinion. Everyone else is going to have a different take on that, and I completely understand that. In this scenario, there is no wrong answers. You can go as big as you want, small as you want. Maybe you want to put a New York Guardians and a Jersey Generals at the exact same locations. I can understand that one too. Let them know down below. Let's mix it up. Be cool. Be nice to each other. I mean, there's already enough, bickering around people around the world nowadays. Friendly conversations, all look for. It really helps the algorithm. Really helps get this out. Really have people listen to me ramble about incoherent things for about 30 minutes of their time. If you're still here at the end and you like what I do, go hit that thumbs up. I really appreciate it. It really helps this channel out. The other thing you can do is go hit subscribe. You hit that subscribe button, click that bell icon, turn on notifications, let you know next time I post any more content on my channel. And I will see you next time on Chat Sports Talk.